boys and girls, it's me, the self-proclaimed lunatic of all good things radio, Ray Wild here. And I'm glad to see, I've seen a lot of activity on my page lately, and I hope everybody enjoyed the Kutztown video. Today I figure I'd do a little radio thing. It's not a big deal to probably a lot of you, but I think for the beginners, if you got interested or if you own a 600 series Zenith Trans-Oceanic tube radio, and they were made roughly between 600 series probably came out in late 53, maybe early 54, went on to around 60, 61, and then the transistors seemed to take over. They're actually kind of cool little radios, and one of the features that it had was a dial light. Now if you have one of these radios and the dial light doesn't work well, there's with good reason. They took an unusual battery. Wait a minute, I think I see one here on my bench. Okay, used one of these guys, a little Zenith A battery. And it was a 1.5 volt battery. It says here for hearing aids and other radionic uses, which God only knows what that meant. But anyway, this is the battery that was used for your dial light. Well, obviously you're not going to find these anymore. It took a 2-prong plug that looks like this. So I actually have one that's basically a part of my bench right now. Now, yours doesn't have to be a part. It could be actually whole with the chassis and everything intact. But I have the chassis out of this one. I have quite a bit of pieces missing. I think it'll be better from a photographic standpoint. You'll get to see it a little bit better. And you can do this mod for either nothing or next to nothing. So let's get started on the operation. Okay, so here's the box that we're going to be using, that the radio was in. As you can see, the chassis is gone, but in plain view you can see here's the dial light, which actually clipped onto a prong that was mounted on the chassis itself by where all the band switch coils and band switch assembly is. And then over here on the opposite side, this was the actual switch, and it's spring loaded, so you would just flip it over to one side and then it would illuminate the light. And then you can see in the dark what battery you're on. You got to remember too that these radios were also battery operated. So I guess if you were out camping or in the dark somewhere, sometimes you might want to actually see where you're tuning on the dial. So this could be helpful. Or if if you have one of these radios and you make a battery pack for it, which I've done, and you want to use this in the event of like an emergency where you lose your power or whatever, you might actually want to use that dial light. So hey, let's get started. Okay, you see I have the box gutted, the chassis is missing. I have it literally upside down on the bench right now. This particular radio is a T600. Okay, this was made around 55, 56, and this is even date coded. I saw a date here, there it is. That may have been when the box was made, I don't know, 55, 56 maybe? So anyway, this is the area we're going to be working on. If you look here, I've got my pointer here. Let me my fancy pointer out. Where the pointer is right now, you see a little clip right there? That's where the battery would mount. And this is the 2-prong plug that would actually, let me see if maybe I could scoop it out with this thing. There it is. Okay, and that was the soldered on clip that would go into the battery. So that's how it worked, but this is going to be totally different when we get done. Okay, now this project's going to require some tools. One tool that you're going to need is a good soldering iron. Okay, that's the one I'm going to be using. Another tool, I'm going to be using my cordless screwdriver. It can be corded, really doesn't matter, with some drill bits. That's my drill bit set right there. And last but not least, either a C or a D battery holder, 1-cell battery holder. This is, I guess, an old Radio Shack one in the store. I remember picking this up like a year or two ago for like 50 cents at a, or no, it was a 3 for $1 box at a ham fest. So we're actually going to put this inside. Okay, first things first, we're going to have to remove that bracket and get that out of the way. And then after that, we're going to remove this, we're going to have to desolder the ends of this clip. There's solder on there. We're going to just have to heat up the ends. I know there's not a lot of light. But we're going to heat up those ends, and then this clip will come off, leaving just the two wires, which actually go to the dial-light switch. Okay, I took out the Phillips screw that holds the bracket in, and now there's just a small hole there. And I heated up my iron, and I removed the battery prong that was on the end of those wires. Now, if you notice too, that the red wire is a little bit shorter than the black wire. The polarity really isn't going to matter here. I mean, you can flip it around, but I'll show you how the way that I do it here. So the next step we're going to do is we're going to have to mount up the new battery holder in place. And let me show you how that's going to work. The new battery holder, let me get the camera steady. This is kind of tough, it's a little cramped in here. It's just going to kind of sit in here in the place of where the old bracket is, more or less. And then the one screw that was in there before, get this back out. So it's just going to basically sit in here, and then with a battery on it. And like I said, the one screw is going to hold that in here. So what we're going to do is on this here, I got to get this where I can steady it. Let me grab my pointer. And we're actually going to use that drill, and we're going to drill a hole to mount this into the box. But to do that, what you want to do is you have to offset the hole. It's either got to be up real high here or real low down here. It doesn't really matter which side you put it on. But what I like to do is I usually just keep the positive side in closer to the deeper in the box, so I can hook it up to this wire since it's a little bit shorter. And then what I'll do is once I get that mounted in place, we'll just solder the wires up, and then we'll just shrink wrap the connectors. So let me get a drill, and we'll drill a hole in there, and then we'll mount this guy up. Okay. And please, when you're doing this, make sure that you have safety glasses on. Okay. And there's my hole. I don't know how well you can see that in here. Let me hold this, flip it over so you can see it. Alright, so the battery holder is now mounted in place by the one clamp screw. Put that in there. And it's in there real nice and snug. So what we're going to do now is just solder up the wires together and just neaten up that spaghetti mess there, and should be good to go. Okay, we've made our connections. I've soldered the wires together and then put some shrink tubing over the wires. I'll neaten up the wires. I'll just tuck them in maybe behind the battery holder or somewhere around there and put a battery in there, and we'll try it out and see what it looks like. Okay, we got the battery in place. So now we're going to flip the switch. Let's see if the light comes on. Hey, look at that. And that's going to look really cool once the chassis is back in there and it's dark right at the dial. So there's a low buck treat if you got a 600 series TO. I think I did this, I think with all the parts, the electric, the solder and everything, maybe 50 cents. Oh, wait a minute, no, $1, because I had to buy the battery, $1. So I did this for $1. So anyway, hey, look, thanks for watching, and hey, keep tuned, because within the next week or two, I got something special for everybody. So it's kind of a little thank you. So if you're subscribing, hey, thank you for stopping by and subscribing. If not, hey, just go ahead and subscribe. You'll see neat little radio videos and other things every once in a while. So take care. Bye!
Would he yell at his teammates once in a while? Yeah, he'd rally them together, but you didn't see Lawrence Taylor throwing things. That was, you know, very, very rare. And Lawrence Taylor was not that way. He's not.
And let me get my high-tech pointing tool here as everything falls apart on my bench. And I actually have, okay, hold on. Hi, boys and girls, it's me. Self-proclaimed, oh, let me try this again.